Hi, I'm Todd Heitkamp, the owner of Dakota Angler here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, with this week's episode of the 2-Minute Fishing Report. Well, folks, it definitely looks like the dog days of summer have arrived around the tri-state area and in eastern South Dakota. The fishing action definitely has been slowed due to the heat, due to the storms, due to a lot of factors that are going on, and it's just that time of the year. So guys are still having some luck out there. You're having to go through quite a bit of daylight hours, if you will, to find your fish. And also guys are fishing the weeds. Guys that are fishing the weeds seem to be having the best success. Some of the lakes that have been producing fish up in the northeastern part of the state this past week include Waubay and Bitter. Both lakes are doing quite well there, and a lot of numbers being caught at Bitter. But again, a lot of smaller fish. Again, sorting is probably going to be the norm up there, so be aware of that. Other lakes include Horseshoe, Indian Springs, Lynn, Reeds, as well as Pius and Goose, and then also Opitz is doing quite well. Again, very similar to Bitter, where you're having to sort quite a bit. Then as far as the lakes down the southeastern part of the state, those lakes have definitely slowed up around the area. Guys are still catching some nice fish on 81 ponds, the west pond that is, especially fishing the weed lines with leeches and also throwing crankbaits. Guys are doing quite well there. Also dry lake number 2 up by Willow Lake. Fishing the weeds is the key to your success up there. Elsewhere, Thompson, Ponset, Sinai, occasional walleye bite here and there. Again, if you're putting in your time, you're going to catch a few fish. But coming away with limits has definitely been a little bit of trouble the past week. Again, like I mentioned, what guys are really using, throwing crankbaits into the shallows, into the weed lines. Guys are using X-Wraps, also swim baits, especially the Lunker Hunts bento swim baits have been working really well on some of these lakes. Elsewhere, guys are using live bait, crawlers and leeches with spinners, 1 hook and 2 hook spinners. So make sure you stop by and get all that for your next fishing trip. And then as far as the perch are concerned, the guys are catching a few perch out there, but again, the bite isn't as good as what it was the weeks previous to this. But some of the lakes that have been producing perch include Pius, Waubay, Dry Lake number 2 up by Willow Lake, Big Stone, and then also a few perch being caught at Thompson. Bluegill, if you're into bluegill, guys are catching some nice bluegill at Enemy Swim as well as Clear Lake. And then the crappie bite again has really tapered off, but again, a few guys are catching a few fish at Pickerel as well as Thompson. And then what have they been using? A lot of slip bobber fishing with live bait minnows or leeches, especially for the perch, seems to be the trick. Now it's time to take a look at a few photos from this past week. And remember, folks, if you'd like your photo included in next week's version of the 2-Minute Fishing Report, please send it to me. Send it to todd@dakotaangler.com or post it to our Facebook wall. And if I use your photo, your name will be entered into the monthly drawing for a $25 gift certificate. So remember, take the photo and then send it to me. And folks, before we end this week's version of the 2-Minute Fishing Report, I want to remind you of a couple of sales that we have going on here at the store. Number 1, all walleye trolling combos are on sale, line counter combos. Take a look at some of the great deals we have here. Okuma or Daiwa line counters on sale at prices that you can't see anyplace else. Also our catfish rods. All our catfish rods as well as catfish combos are now 20% off. Those sales continue, so make sure you stop on by to take advantage of these great savings. Also, folks, again, as we approach, I hate to say it, fall and winter, remember, mark your calendars for the Dakota Angler Ice Institute, November 6th and 7th. I don't think it's too early to mention ice, is it? Especially in this heat, and I know a lot of you, probably the only ice you're thinking about is the ice in your drink. But remember, mark your calendars, if you're big into ice fishing, November 6th and 7th for the Dakota Angler Ice Institute. Well, that's this week's version of the 2-Minute Fishing Report. For Dakota Angler, I'm the owner, Todd Heitkamp, and as we say around here, fish on. We'll see you next time, and again, thanks for watching.